You fight in the hills of your long-term battles. You never surrender. But here is what they do not tell you about fighting. Here is what the speeches and the slogans and the motivational quotes leave out. Fighting is not glorious. It is not pleasant. It is often not even heroic. Fighting is getting up at dawn when your body aches and your mind screams for rest. Fighting is doing the work when no one is watching and no one will praise you. Fighting is taking one more step when you have nothing left. Fighting is continuing when continuation itself feels impossible. When we evacuated Dunkirk, we called it a miracle, and perhaps it was, but it was a miracle built on the backs of ordinary men doing extraordinary things. Fishermen who sailed their tiny boats across the channel under enemy fire, soldiers who held the line so their brothers could escape, pilots who flew sortie after sortie until their planes fell from the sky. None of them felt heroic. They felt terrified. They felt exhausted. They felt small and powerless against the great machine of war that sought to destroy them. But they did their duty anyway. This is the second lesson. Heroism is not the absence of fear. Heroism is not superhuman strength. Heroism is ordinary people doing what must be done, despite the fear, despite the weakness, despite every reason to quit. You are capable of this. I do not care what you have been told about yourself. I do not care what limitations you believe you have. I do not care what failures lie in your past. You are capable of doing what must be done. The proof is in your history. You have already survived every difficult day of your life thus far. You have already overcome obstacles you once thought insurmountable. You have already demonstrated the capacity to endure. Now you must demonstrate the capacity to fight. But fighting alone is not enough. We must also know what we are fighting for. In 1940, we were fighting for Britain, for our homes, for our families, for our freedom, for a way of life that we believed was worth preserving. What are you fighting for? And I do not mean some vague notion of success or happiness. I mean specifically, precisely, what is the thing that makes your fight worthwhile? Is it your children, who deserve to see what determination looks like? Is it your own dignity, which refuses to be compromised? Is it a dream that has haunted you for so long that abandoning it would feel like dying? Is it simply the belief that you were put on this earth to do more than merely exist? Name it, write it down, carry it with you, because when the fight becomes hard, and it will become hard, you will need to remember why you started. You will need something stronger than motivation. You will need purpose. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes like the tide. Purpose is a decision. It remains constant even when feelings fail. In the darkest days of the war, motivation often failed us. We were tired. We were afraid. We were grieving the loss of those we loved, but purpose never failed. We knew what we were fighting for. We knew why surrender was not an option. We knew that future generations were depending on us to hold the line, and so we held it. This is the third lesson. Purpose sustains you when motivation abandons you. Find your purpose, cling to it, let it pull you forward when you have no strength left to push. Now I must speak a hard truth. Not everyone will understand your fight. Not everyone will support you. Some will actively work against you. When Britain stood alone, we had few allies. Many nations that should have stood with us remained neutral. Some made accommodation with evil. Some simply looked away. We felt abandoned. We felt betrayed. We felt terribly, terribly alone. Your fight will feel the same at times. Family members will question your choices. Friends will drift away. Colleagues will doubt your abilities. The world will offer you 1,000 reasons to quit and very few reasons to continue. This is when you must remember that doubt is not evidence of your inadequacy. Their fear is not proof that you should be afraid. Their surrender is not a requirement that you surrender as well. Every great achievement in human history was first dismissed as impossible. Every revolutionary idea was first mocked. Every hero was first called a fool. The Wright brothers were told that human flight was a fantasy. Edison was told he would never create a practical light bulb. Churchill himself was told he was a warmonger, a troublemaker, a man out of step with the times. They were right about the last part. I was out of step with the times. The times were marching towards appeasement and surrender. I refused to march with them, and because I refused, because Britain refused, the times eventually changed direction. This is the fourth lesson. Do not let the opinions of others become the prison of your potential. Stand alone if you must. History will vindicate those who refuse to compromise their vision. But standing alone does not mean standing still. It does not mean isolation. It does not mean refusing help when help is offered. During the war, we eventually found allies. America entered the fight. The Commonwealth stood with us. Resistance movements across Europe joined the cause. We could not have won alone. No one wins alone. You must build your coalition. Find the people who believe in your mission. Surround yourself with those who will speak truth to you, who will challenge you to be better, who will catch you when you fall. But choose carefully. Not everyone who offers help is truly helpful. Not everyone who smiles is truly friendly. Some will offer support only to advance their own agenda. Some will attach conditions to their assistance. Some will help you only as long as it costs them nothing. True allies are rare. They are the ones who stand with you when standing with you is dangerous. They are the ones who tell you hard truths when flattery would be easier. They are the ones who work in the shadows, asking for no recognition, simply because the cause is worthy. Treasure these people, protect them, serve them as they serve you. This is the fifth lesson. Build a coalition of the committed, not a crowd of the convenient. Quality matters more than quantity in friendship, in all relationships. Now we come to the heart of the matter, the actual fighting, the daily grind, the unglamorous work of persistence. This is where most people fail, not because they lack courage for the big moments, but because they lack stamina for the long campaign. The Battle of Britain was not won in a day. It was won over months of relentless aerial combat. Day after day our pilots climbed into their Spitfires and Hurricanes, knowing that many would not return. Night after night our citizens huddled in bomb shelters while German bombs fell on London. Week after week, month after month, we endured. There was no single glorious victory. There were 1,000 small acts of defiance. A pilot downing one more enemy plane, a firefighter saving one more building, a mother comforting one more frightened child. Each act in itself seemed insignificant. Together they saved a nation. Your fight will be the same. There will be no single moment of triumph. There will be 1,000 small victories that no one sees. Getting out of bed when depression tells you to stay down. Making one more sales call after 100 rejections. Writing one more page when the book seems impossible. Cooking one more healthy meal when fast food is easier. Having one more difficult conversation when silence is tempting. These are your daily battles. These are the fights that matter. Win these and the war takes care of itself. This is the sixth lesson. Victory is built from ordinary days lived with extraordinary consistency. Discipline defeats talent. Persistence defeats genius. The person who continues will always outlast the person who quits. But let us also speak of rest, of recovery, of the necessity of retreat. Yes, I said we shall never surrender. I did not say we shall never rest. There is a difference. Surrender is permanent. Rest is temporary. Surrender is defeat. Rest is preparation for the next fight. Even during the war, our soldiers were rotated out of combat. Our pilots were given leave. Our factory workers had shifts that ended. we understood that human beings are not machines. They cannot run forever without breaking. You must rest. You must sleep. You must take days away from the battle to remember what you are fighting for. You must enjoy the company of those you love. You must laugh. You must play. You must restore your spirit. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. A rested soldier fights better than an exhausted one. A clear mind makes better decisions than a foggy one. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It is strategic. This is the seventh lesson. Rest is part of fighting, not the opposite of it. Guard your energy as carefully as you pursue your goals. As we near the end of this address, I want to speak to those of you who feel you have already lost, those who believe the fight is over, those who think surrender is the only option left. I tell you the fight is never over until you decide it is over. In 1940, by every objective measure, Britain had lost. We had been driven from the continent. We stood alone against the most powerful military machine ever assembled. Our prospects were grim. Yet we did not accept that verdict. We wrote our own ending. I am not promising you that determination alone will solve every problem. I am not saying that positive thinking will overcome every obstacle. I am not claiming that belief is sufficient for victory. What I am saying is this: you have more strength than you know. You have more courage than you have shown. You have more fight left in you than you believe. The human spirit is a remarkable thing. It can endure what seems unendurable. It can overcome what seems insurmountable. It can continue when continuation seems impossible, but only if you decide to let it, only if you refuse to surrender, only if you choose to fight. So I ask you again, where are your beaches? Where must you make your stand? What is the thing you will not surrender? Cannot surrender? Must not surrender? Find it. Name it. Commit to it. Then wake up tomorrow and fight for it. Fight the next day and the day after that. Fight when you feel strong and fight when you feel weak. Fight when others join you and fight when you stand alone. Fight until you win, or fight until you can fight no more. But never, ever, ever surrender, because that is what free people do. That is what people with purpose do. That is what you were born to do. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. These are not just my words. They are your words now. They are your promise. They are your declaration. Now go and make them true. My friends, I stand before you today not as a man who has never known defeat, but as one who has tasted it, swallowed it, and spat it back in the face of despair. We shall fight on the beaches. These words, spoken in the darkest hour of our history, were not mere poetry. They were a promise. They were a declaration. They were a refusal to surrender to the night. And today I ask you, where are your beaches? Where are the shores upon which you must make your stand? For every man, every woman, every soul who draws breath upon this earth has their own beaches, their own landing ground, their own fields and streets and hills where the battle must be fought. The question is not whether the fight will come. The fight always comes. The question is whether you will be ready, whether you will stand, whether you will fight. In May of 1940, Britain stood alone. France had fallen. Our armies had been driven back to the sea at Dunkirk. The might of Nazi Germany stood across the Channel, preparing for invasion. Every sensible voice said we should negotiate. Every reasonable mind said we should seek terms. Every practical calculation said we could not win. But we did not seek terms. We did not negotiate. We did not surrender. Why? Because there are moments in history when sense must bow to spirit, when calculation must yield to courage, when the reasonable path leads only to slavery, and the impossible path is the only one worth taking. Your life will present you with such moments. Perhaps it already has. The moment when your business fails and everyone tells you to give up. The moment when your health fails and the doctors offer only doubt. The moment when your dreams seem so far away that even you begin to question them. These are your beaches. These are the shores where you must plant your feet and say, I will not retreat. I will not surrender. I will fight. But let us be clear about something. Fighting is not the same as winning. When I stood in Parliament that day and spoke those words, we were not winning. We were losing. Our armies were in retreat. Our cities were being bombed. Our children were being evacuated to the countryside. We were by every measure on the edge of destruction. Yet we fought, not because we were certain of victory, but because surrender was unthinkable. This is the first lesson. You do not fight because you know you will win. You fight because fighting is what free men and women do. You fight because the alternative is to kneel. And some things are worse than death. Slavery is worse than death. Cowardice is worse than death. Living a life of quiet desperation, never attempting what you were born to do, never becoming what you were meant to be, that is worse than death. So you fight. You fight on the beaches of your financial struggles. You fight on the landing grounds of your broken relationships. You fight in the fields of your career setbacks. You fight in the streets of your daily disappointments.